Have you ever wondered what it actually feels like to play an MMORPG before it's, an MMORPG? Not an early access game with a Steam page, not a beta where everything is basically finished. I mean the stage where the developers are still trying to answer fundamental questions about what the game will become. I recently had one of those opportunities. One of the developers behind Ruins of Tearyn reached out and invited me to take a look. They describe it as the smallest fantasy MMO inspired by the classic MMORPGs of the late 90s and early 2000s, but with modern ideas mixed in. It's being built by just 2 developers who have spent years working in Unreal Engine. Now, normally, this is where I'll give you my first impressions, except I don't think that would be fair, because this isn't a finished game pretending to be complete. It's a construction site. The developers are very open about that. The art is a placeholder, the character models are placeholders, the aesthetic is still evolving. Right now, they're focused on gameplay systems, content, networking, server scalability, and all of the boring technical stuff that has to work long before anyone starts worrying about prettier trees. And honestly, I love seeing games at this stage. One of the first things I noticed was the character creator. It's simple. There are currently 6 classes to choose from, and while I don't think the races have been finalized yet, there were options ranging from humans to goblins to skeletons mixed into the available skins. It's obviously unfinished, but that's kind of the point. You're watching ideas before they've hardened into permanent decisions. When I finally entered the world, I was immediately greeted by a bear named Birch. Now, if you're new here, that probably means absolutely nothing, but if you've been following this channel for a while, you know Birch. The developers clearly did a little homework, and I have to admit, that made me smile. It's a tiny detail, but it's one of those moments where you realize there are actual people building this world. One of my favorite things about this channel has been getting invited into games before they've been polished. This whole YouTube adventure honestly started while I was testing Ashes of Creation. Right now, I'm spending a lot of time in Monsters and Memories. And every time I get involved with one of these projects, I'm reminded why I enjoy testing so much. You're not just consuming a game, you're helping shape it. If combat feels clunky, you can tell the developers. If a class isn't fun, they can still redesign it. If the economy looks like it's about to implode, well, hopefully someone notices before launch instead of 6 months after. Those are conversations that become much harder once thousands of players have already invested hundreds of hours into existing systems. I also think early testing creates a completely different relationship with the game. Years later, when everyone else is discovering a city or a dungeon for the first time, you remember what used to be there. You remember the awkward placeholder animations. You remember the broken quests. You remember watching systems slowly evolve into something much bigger. You become invested not because someone sold you a polished experience, but because you helped build it. There's a sense of pride that comes with saying, I remember when this place looked completely different. Now, obviously, testing isn't for everyone. If you're looking for a perfectly balanced experience with gorgeous graphics and finished content, this probably isn't your stage of development, and that's okay. But if you've ever wondered how MMORPGs actually become MMORPGs, this is where it starts, with a handful of players, a couple of developers, a lot of placeholder assets, and an enormous amount of feedback. So instead of giving Ruins of Tearyn a traditional review, I simply wanted to put it on your radar. Not because I know exactly what it will become, nobody does. I'm not even sure the developers are 100% on that one. But because watching worlds grow has become one of my favorite parts of this hobby. Sometimes the most interesting version of an MMO isn't launch day. It's the one that's still figuring itself out. Until next time, keep exploring. I'll see you in the next world.